All right. We are probably live.
What do you think, John? You like that public domain?
Yeah, public domain.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, the Gen Xer. That's John over there, our
That's
resident
me.
millennial. How you doing tonight, John?
Oh, fantastic. As always.
Always?
Always.
Because you don't look fantastic.
It's just the exterior, you know? Yeah.
It's what's on the inside that
Right.
counts, right?
On the inside, I'm fantastic.
But I've heard nobody can count on you.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for public domain music.
Fuck
I like
yeah.
that stuff. Don't sing happy birthday.
No, you can't.
Right? Isn't that
Right.
sad? You can't go into a restaurant and get them to sing for he's a jolly good fellow with fucking shit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
That's just wrong. What if I'm not a jolly fellow? Maybe I'm not happy about my birthday.
Yeah, because you're old.
I don't want to be jolly, right?
Oh, yeah, you're 50 now.
Yeah, what'd you get me for my birthday, John? Oh, the same thing you got me last year.
That's right. Fuck all.
So, folks, how are you doing out there tonight? We thought we'd come in and talk about a little bit of stuff tonight. Nothing too terribly interesting. I'm sure the horse has been beaten to death on Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we just couldn't resist talking about him a little bit tonight.
Yeah, of course.
And I believe we've had a little bit of a change in the wind with Amazon. It was kind of an interesting move they made this week with their minimum wage. Thought we'd talk about that a little bit. You're a fan of Amazon, right, John?
Oh, yeah. I get a lot of stuff from there. In fact, most of the equipment we have here came from Amazon.
I'm just trying to figure out if that's like a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star review.
For Amazon or for the stuff we
Amazon.
have?
Amazon.
I give them a 3.5. They're
3.5.
pretty. Yeah, just a little. They're pretty good.
Yeah. You
For the
can't
most
give
part.
a partial star, John. It's got to average to a partial.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then John and I are going to find out if we are actually feminists or not.
I hope so.
See if we agree. Do you?
I do. Yeah.
Right. You want to be the feminist white knight out there?
I want
that
to.
all the ladies.
I want to
need?
respect women.
Women?
Respect women.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's nice. You kids and your fancy lingo.
Yeah. Women.
And then from there, we're probably just going to shoot some shit after that. We're going to try and keep this short tonight. Well, short meaning less than 6 hours.
I think we're pretty good at that.
Hey, so if anybody out there enjoys what you're hearing or you want to keep up with us, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to give us some comments, throw us some information out there about what you think about what we're saying. And if you think other people need to hear it, let them know. And if you just want to pull in some other haters and hate on us for a while, well, please do.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Welcome love and hate equally. Make love, not war. Make hate, not war. I think I could do with hate as long as there's no war.
Was that supposed to be a joke or like what?
No, I'm just saying, can you do with hate if there's no war? I mean, they say make love, not war, but I mean, if, I can deal with hate. Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Trade off for war? Because we're headed there.
Yeah, apparently.
Right.
We've always been headed there.
Well,
Dealing with the Russians. It's big, scary. Ooh.
It's a
Ooga
war
booga.
on terror, John. It's the
Yeah.
axis of evil. Is that still a thing?
I haven't heard that since like Bush.
Bush had the axis.
Bush the second.
Wait, didn't Obama try and carry that a little bit, or did he address it early on? He was just.
I don't remember,
it?
man.
Did he mock it?
I wasn't paying attention
You know
to
who
politics.
Obama was, right?
Yeah, of course.
He was the first mixed American president.
He was. Yeah.
Hawaiian. I think he was Hawaiian.
Yeah, he's-
Kenyan.
Yeah, he was born in
Wait.
Kenya, right? That's what I
No.
heard.
No, I'd have to see a birth certificate.
Yeah, we got to see the long form one. The short one wasn't good enough. I remember that. They had like some short form birth certificate. Yeah, and they were like, we can't use that one. We have to have the long form.
Right.
Which is
Isn't
really
it?
stupid.
Isn't it curious? You would think whether it's a long form or a short form, the very base piece of information that would give is
The country of
where
origin.
you were fucking
Yeah.
born. I don't care how long. How long do you need it to say Kenya? Or
Long enough.
Hawaii. Right? Both are 5 letters. Right?
Yeah, as
How
we're
hard
about to
is-
find out.
Oh, wait, Hawaii is 6.
As we're
I
about to
can't
find out in our first segment, you know, you always need just a little bit more information. Whatever you have is never enough.
Yeah, well, there's never enough information on Mr. Kavanaugh, apparently. So let's find out. Let's talk about Brett Kavanaugh a little bit.
All right.
He's your favorite, right? You love Brett?
No.
You're not a fan?
No, I'm not a fan of Brett Kavanaugh as a judge. He seems to have a lot of problems with the Fourth Amendment. You know, the whole privacy thing. You know, things, search and seizure, all that kind of crap. But for all these, sexual misconduct allegations, I'm on his side on that. I don't think he did it. And I don't think that it should stand in the way of him being appointed to the Supreme Court. Yeah, I know you have some other thoughts about that. You believe women.
It's you know that we've had this discussion off mic. It's not about who I believe. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's all going to come down to one thing, and that's character.
Yeah.
So as it stands, folks, I'm sure most people have been keeping up with it because the news has been polluted with it. You really can't get it. We can't even get any good dirt on Trump. I mean, it has been such a Kavanaugh 2 weeks that even Trump has skated by under the radar.
Yeah, which is big. That's huge. I mean,
Right?
it hasn't been a day gone by where Trump hasn't been called a piece of shit by everybody and their mothers, But
Right?
nowadays, yeah. Last
How do we
couple
have
weeks.
that happen?
I guess this is bigger right now. Everyone cares about this.
So Brett Kavanaugh. Well, they had say her name. I forget all the. There's multiple
Christine
names. We gotta say them
Blasey
all, right?
Ford.
Yeah, she's got 3 names you gotta say.
Well, you know who goes by 3 names? Serial killers.
Is that right?
It is.
John Wayne Gacy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Jeffrey Dahmer.
That's true. But a lot of them do.
Now, is it possible since he was a serial killer and a cannibal, did like the cannibalism maybe exclude him from having the 3-name moniker?
Wasn't John Wayne Gacy also a cannibal?
I'm not sure.
I think he was. Didn't he eat the children that he killed?
I'm
a lot
not
of the
up
time?
on my serial killers.
Oh yeah, you should.
As long as they don't kill the cereals I have for breakfast, I'm good.
Right.
That's all that matters to me.
Hilarious.
But anyway, Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Mrs. She's married.
Doc-
Mrs. Ford.
Dr. Ford.
Dr. Ford. Is she a
Yeah,
doctor?
she's a
That's
doctor.
Right.
Psychology, not psychiatry.
So maybe she
Yeah.
can therapize herself. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of oh my god. There's a lot of problems with her.
Self-medicate. No, you want to self-medicate, not self-therapize.
Yeah, but with her, she has a degree in psychology, and she's been found to have coached someone on how to pass a polygraph test before she did hers. Did you not hear about that?
No. What I do remember is that during the testimony,
Mm-hmm.
they ask her if she paid for it. Did you pay for the test?
Right.
And it comes out that her
lawyers did, yeah.
It's like, what difference? No, she didn't.
I don't
pay
think that.
for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they asked her that,
I
but
think they asked her because if they wanted to point out if she had gone to a private company and had a polygraph paid for by herself, she could potentially skew the results
right.
that are going to come from that. She could have paid them off to give a better result.
Yeah.
Because she's rich and everything, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
She's a doctor.
she's
so
a
she's gotta
professor.
be-
Yeah, she's a professor of some university or another.
I think those might be base assumptions,
Okay.
and we shouldn't do that,
Right.
especially when women are involved.
Oh, naturally.
We'll
of
get
course.
to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she gives her testimony, he gives his testimony, and lo and behold, everybody decides that we need a week. We need the FBI to do further investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And basically results have kind of come back, but they called for a vote today. They said we're going to have a vote anyway, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to carry through tomorrow.
I think
But
so.
of course, like everything in politics, they've been asking everybody, well, how are you going to vote? How are you going to vote?
Yeah.
How are you going to vote? Right? And they've been discussing it on the Hill and everything, and in meetings, as you can see. Only one Republican, as it stands right now, seems to be a holdout, and that would be Lisa Murkowski.
Yeah.
She says it doesn't matter if it's today or tomorrow. She's going to
Vote
vote no. She is quite. I think she thinks the way I do. It's not about if Ford was lying or not, if Kavanaugh's lying. Well, more importantly, if Kavanaugh's lying or not, or if he's fudging the truth, like he's not owning who he was back then.
Right.
He doesn't have to say he did the sexual assault.
Right.
But owning who he is, and that's what she's talking about character. It's about who he is. And does he represent what a Supreme Court judge should?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the question that I think needs to be in the forefront of everyone's mind when they make this vote. How did he represent himself in this? Some people say he did very well. It was fine to have, as you called it, the righteous indignation of the whole thing.
Right.
But
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. He was, his name's been dragged through the mud, like he said. He had a whole, a week or 2 weeks where he wasn't able to defend himself until the testimony. So he just had to sit there while every news outlet, just tried to destroy his name. I mean, I would be pretty pissed off too.
Well, this is pretty telling. She said, "It is really high that a judge shall act all times, not just sometimes when you are wearing your robe, that a judge should act all times in a manner that promotes public confidence." Now, that is what I'm talking about. If he was a party animal in school, fine. Own it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a yearbook picture with some amazing sayings and nicknames, all these things.
Yeah.
You were known as a drinker. You've got the letter for the beach party week where he alludes to some major fun happening. You're a kid, great. We all did it.
Yeah.
But you own it.
Of course.
I own it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't a potential Supreme Court judge own it?
So
not sugarcoat it?
So in principle, yeah, I do agree with that. But I think that was his best defense, because if he gave even an inch, the Democratic senators would have taken a mile, and it jumped to all kinds of conclusions from going from, okay, yeah, I used to black out once in a while. Okay, well then you did it. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't think that it would have helped his case at all. It would have hurt him.
He would do exactly. He could have done exactly what he continued to do. It was about evidence.
Yeah.
Show the evidence.
But it wasn't about evidence. It was about it was about convincing. It was about convincing the general public that he did it, whether he did or not.
Well,
and
I don't
so
think he.
bringing something
I don't
like
think
that.
He did that.
So if he was to be, completely open about, the things that he did at that time, drinking a lot or whatever, that would have looked bad on him from the public perception. And so that's what he really needed.
Well, he, just with the open allegation, he already has lost public perception. He's gone south. That's how we are now. It only takes the allegation against a man now, and a man is done. Yeah. Al Franken is the one that I'll stand by. That just, he took a knee. He's like, all right, I'm going to step out. Yeah. I'm not even going to sit and try and go through all the media hype and bullshit to fix this. this is what happened. Yeah, I did it. It was playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Everybody laughed and had a good time when it happened.
Yeah.
But I understand where this is going to go. So I'm going to step down. And literally people were behind him saying, don't step down.
Yeah.
And after he stepped down, please step back up. You don't need to martyr yourself. And the truth of the matter was, he wasn't martyring himself.
He was also a Democrat, though, wasn't he? He was a Democrat, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's why he got a
Michigan or
little bit of a.
Minnesota.
That's why he got a little bit of a, pass on that. Plus, it wasn't as bad. He wasn't accused of like raping anyone or
Well,
really
but-
any kind of sexual assault. He just hover-handed, someone's
Sure.
breast.
But that was one of. There were either two or three. There was a second one that
okay.
came out that was, again, he said it was bullshit. It was it's just as we typically do these days, something taken out of context.
Yeah.
He's a fucking comedian.
Yeah.
His core is as a comedian. I don't care if he's in politics or not. If he's out, the first one where he was grabbing the boobs, he was on tour.
Yeah.
He wasn't politicizing anything. He was on tour.
Right.
He was out there performing for our fucking troops.
I was gonna say, wasn't he in like Afghanistan or
Yes.
Iraq or something like that?
He was doing a service for our troops.
Yep.
So it only takes the allegation. So Brett Kavanaugh, from the allegation alone, he was already done in the public opinion for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
It called for a divide, just like everything else that happens out of Washington.
Yeah.
Pick your side. You can't be middle ground. So in that regard, when he's up there testifying, what's he got to lose by being honest?
He's got
As
the
long as
Supreme
he's
Court
being honest
appointment
about-
to lose. He's got his entire career to lose.
But to get up there and A, downplay, B, stretch, if not actually lie about some things. Because that was under oath testimony.
Yeah.
And he stretched truth.
But see, the thing is, he also understands, especially being a judge and formerly being a lawyer, he understands the things that he can get away with saying and the things that he can't get away with saying, under oath, especially under penalty of felony. So, how much do you think he would have actually stretched the truth? I'm not saying he didn't, but I don't think it was, to a ridiculous amount.
I think he stretched the truth from the moment he started acting. His testimony, the way he came out, sure, he was probably pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the heartfelt, tear-jerking moments
You
when
don't
he's
believe
crying. No, I didn't buy into it.
Wow.
Because there was certain things that shouldn't have drawn that kind of emotion. When he's defending that he had female friends that were close friends,
Yeah.
right? That's a point where righteous indignation should be coming out. I had women that were friends. There was this woman, this woman, this woman. They were my friends, and they will tell you that nothing like that ever came from me.
Yeah.
That's the time for righteous indignation, and instead, it brings tears to his eyes to list the female friends he's got.
Think about the immense amount of pressure. Think about the immense amount of pressure he's under, though. With everything,
Right.
everything, all just coming on him.
A man who wants to be a Supreme Court justice is caving to that much pressure from an emotional level. Why do I want that kind of person sitting on the Supreme Court?
Well, so those kind of hearings, the Senate hearings, Judiciary Committee hearings, don't usually involve an interrogation. They don't usually involve an inquisition like that. It's usually just like, oh, how'd you do as a judge? Why should we...
This is not the first inquisition I've seen for a nominee.
No, sure.
I mean, they've raked some of them over the fucking coals.
Oh, yeah. But
as well they should.
Sure. I'm just saying that, that's an immense amount of pressure to go under, especially when these bunk allegations are brought against you. The ones that are demonstrably bunk. I mean, everything. All three, I think, 3 to 5 allegations, however many there were.
I just don't agree that for myself, he did not deliver what I expect from a Supreme Court justice in that testimony. There has to be.
He sounded like
character.
sounded like an innocent man desperate to prove his innocence.
No, desperate to. I don't know. To try and create the illusion that he wasn't the person that he was. That's the part that bothers me.
Yeah.
It's like I said, own who you were.
Right.
Everything shows what kind of person you were, and now you're sitting here saying that you weren't that kind of person, that you didn't drink as much, and you didn't party as much, yet everything says you did. That falls into a shady area, and whenever I start to think about a shady area, the last people I want to think are shady are my Supreme Court justices. It's bad enough that they're polarized. Oh, you're on the highest seat in our judicial system because you're a Democrat or a Republican, not because you're a impartial judge, because you're a Democrat or a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
That's my root problem with the whole thing. The Supreme Court should be above politics. The whole point to putting people on there is that they're impartial.
It's a nice thought. But
and now what does that leave us with? We have a bunch of people wondering if Brett Kavanaugh is going to come out and go ahead and take it out on the Democrats in the country with how he approaches his seat if he gets it. And if you have to question that, it's one thing to question, okay, are they going to try and push him, or other politicians going to try and push him to, say, reverse Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
But now, he might have himself a little bit of a vindictive streak for that. And again, it goes to that same thing I always say. If I have to question that, then I have to question why he's on the bench.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, I'm not really a fan of him as a judge because of past calls he's made. But as for, serving justice, he didn't do anything wrong, as far as we can tell. Now, obviously, if he did, then he shouldn't be on. That would be disqualifying. But as far as we can tell, he's done nothing wrong. And so I think it should be pushed through like the normal democratic method.
Well, I will say that ultimately he lost any little shred of support he would have had for me when he looked and they were asking him, have you blacked out? Do you remember blacking out? Not remembering chunks of time while you were drinking, and he looks at him and says, "Have you?"
Yeah.
Great. You apologized.
I was gonna say, to be fair to him, he did apologize when they came back.
But you shouldn't have had to.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have needed to apologize for some shit like that, because if you're sitting there not expecting the hard questions, whether there's an allegation at you or not, you're a fool.
It was also like the 12th time he was asked that. Not the same question, but generally the same question, just maybe in different words.
Well, I don't know. It's it comes down to, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other if he gets on or not. It'll just be some Republican that they put on, because they're not going to let a Republican put a Republican on there. If it's not Kavanaugh, it'll be somebody else.
Right, somebody else will be the problem next.
Do I wish that it was somebody who had not agreed with Donald Trump and said, "Yeah, you can't indict a sitting president. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't go after a sitting president." Makes me wonder, why did he get the nod?
Oh yeah,
Right?
I mean, I don't think for a second that Trump's not going to, put somebody up who's just gonna have his back, or he's going to, I mean, that's just the kind of guy Trump is. I mean, I don't think anyone expected anything different.
So my opinion is, folks out there, we got to do something. We got to change that. We've got to stop.
Are you hashtag Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. Yeah.
What do you think, folks? What do you think about the Supreme Court? Should it be politicized? Should we take the Democrats and the Republicans out of the Supreme Court? What do we do with the Supreme Court to keep it from being that way?
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is there an answer to it? Give us your opinion. Let us know what you think, because I'm troubled by it, and I've always been troubled by it, and I'm afraid I'm going to continue to be troubled by it till His Excellency, Mr. Trump, finally dies and leaves office.
That's right. For the God Emperor.
But, that's the thing. You got enough money. You can do just about anything. Speaking of a lot of money,
Yeah.
we got a company out there with a lot of money who has decided to start taking care of their employees. Hey, everybody, Amazon's going to raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour.
But
For all U.S. workers, John, all U.S. workers are going to get $15 an hour.
yeah, good for them.
That is going to be a substantial raise for them. That is going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
However,
Right, but
there's a but, right? There's always a but.
Yep.
And oftentimes it's not cute and stuck in a bikini.
That's right.
So, if you are an Amazon worker, you may be getting a $15 an hour minimum wage, but you are going to have to make a couple of sacrifices. One, Amazon had a bonus program for their warehouse workers.
Not no more.
That warehouse bonus could equal upwards to $3,000 a year. Now, my guess is, if I remember correctly, they were hitting around $10 an hour.
Probably.
I think they were at 10 or 11. So let's go on the liberal side and say it was $11 an hour,
Sure.
or the conservative side, say they got a $4 an hour raise. They work 40 hours a week, it's $160 a week times 4. What does that carry to? $640 a month. Is that what that comes to? Yeah, $640 a month times 12.
Yeah.
It's about a $7,000 raise.
Nice.
$7,500 maybe. That's a substantial raise in a year.
Yeah.
If you were making $11 an hour. Now, some of them may have been making less than that, but depends on where in the country they were, I think.
Right.
But my guess is there's probably quite a few making more than that. I wonder how many of their warehouse workers are actually only getting like a 50 cent to $1 raise off of this.
Yeah, well, supervising and stuff probably make a little bit more.
Yeah.
They were probably
But-
pretty close, if not at 15. But then
More
they
than
probably
likely.
went up a little bit, a little bit. So they make more than the average pleb.
So, losing the bonus may not be bad. But not only did they lose that bonus, but they lost what I consider to be the greatest advantage they had as an employee. And
Yeah.
it would literally make me consider how much of an hourly wage I was getting and whether or not I'd rather retain it.
Yeah.
Because one of the other perk that they had was that each year they would receive a share of stock, a full-blown share of stock. And every 5 years, they would receive an additional share. So every 5 years, they could receive a total of 6 shares of stock. Now, stocks are at $2,000,
Something like that.
1,900 and something right now. That doesn't sound like a lot, right? It's like, okay, so $2,000 trade for the minimum wage, but what's going to happen to Amazon's stock?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only been really going in one direction over the long haul, right? Sure, they have dips, declines, whatever,
Yeah.
but it's going up. And it keeps going up to the point where stock's got to split sometime, right?
Yep.
And when that stock splits, work for Amazon for 5 years, you get 6 shares of stock. Say that 3 times fast.
What shit shares of stock?
6
Oh, 6 shares.
of stock.
6 shares of stock. 6 shares. That is hard. Wow.
That's SARD, right? It's
Yeah,
SARD.
it's SARD.
SARD.
It's totally hard.
So anyway, 6 shares of stock after 5 years, stock doubles or splits. Boom, now you have 12 shares of stock, valued less, but
Yeah.
the equal value basically, and now that will begin to rise,
Yep.
grow again, and reach another point where it splits again. That's why you own stocks in company, because you want that to happen.
Yeah.
And I can promise you, yes, we are a instant gratification kind of society now.
It's
People
also
want to see that money right now.
it's also a chance to virtue signal, because they were putting pressure on the federal government to raise their minimum wage to 15 an hour. So it's really like a grandstanding sort of deal as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm on the fence about the federal minimum wage because it's.
I'm not on the fence about that.
You think it should?
No, I don't think they should.
I don't think it would be good for businesses
No.
overall. Small businesses,
Right.
Large
Especially.
businesses could.
Even then, they're still gonna
Why-
gonna cut hours. If you make the minimum wage go up, they're gonna cut hours.
Well, sure.
That's just the natural
Why?
cycle.
I wonder why we don't have a staggered minimum wage.
What do you mean?
So, for instance, you're a small company. You employ under 100 people. You have to set a minimum target wage of $8.50 an hour. Next guy, he's at 100 to 1,000 employees. No, we have to go with a smaller number. Say 300. 100 to 300. You have to set a minimum wage of $9.50 an hour. So now, if you employ over 300 but not over 500, you have to set a rate of $10.50 and increment it up. So companies that employ, 20,000 people, that's where you start reaching the cap of $15 an hour. But based off the size of your company is what minimum wage you have to pay. Now, sure, it's going to drive people to go get the jobs with the bigger companies, but they're going to fill up, so you're going to have people trickling down into the lower paying jobs with the smaller companies, right?
Possibly, but I mean, I think we should just get rid of the minimum wage to begin with. I mean,
You're going to throw the UBI out there?
Well, only if it's included in the fair tax, not just the UBI in general. But what I'm really saying is, if you don't have a minimum wage, then that's going to make all the businesses compete with each other on wages.
Yes and no.
Well, yes.
Well, think about it like this, John. If this company pays $8.50 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
but they have 500 jobs open, and this company pays $10 an hour and they have 50 jobs open, that $8.50 an hour job, they're going to fill up those spots.
Yeah, but you're assuming that there's only two companies there. You're only having two
I'm
companies
just
in your
using it as an
example.
example.
Yeah, I know, but that completely destroys the, because the whole point is that there's, first of all, there's more than two companies, right? And
Well,
so
sure, but
they're going to be competing. There's even more than two companies in any given industry. So, whatever it is, there's always going to be another place to go.
see, this is where people have too much faith in this competition thing.
Okay.
I mean, what you have a McDonald's and you have Burger King, two large companies.
Yeah.
What competition are they going to have for getting employees?
Well, one of them's going to pay their employees better, or offer more hours, something like that. And then the people who work in fast food are going to
We
want to work
have
at the
that
one that's better.
now.
That's
Already in
they're
place.
pretty
You don't
comparable.
have to go with the minimum wage that's federally set.
Yeah,
That's
no,
just
I
the
know.
bottom line you
Yeah.
can hit.
I know.
Companies
Most states have a higher minimum wage
there's
than the
already
federal one.
competition for it.
Well,
Companies compete that way already by going above the minimum wage.
in a way, yeah. A lot of the times they'll do the minimum wage for the state. Like I believe here in Florida, it's $8.25, which
Sure,
I think
but a
it's
lot of
$7.25 in the federal level. So
a lot of companies don't worry. They don't go with that number.
yeah, no, I know. A lot of them will have more, but what I'm saying is, if someone puts, let's say they do $8.50 instead of $8.25. If McDonald's does $8.50 instead of $8.25, and then Burger King does $9.25, it's going to draw more people to work at Burger King.
Sure, till Burger King's filled up, and then they'll trickle down to the next.
But they have another restaurant down the street.
mean,
That's my point. Is that it's
sure,
not just
But
there's not just two
but
companies,
that
right?
competition is already in place without a change to the minimum wage.
Right. So what I'm saying is the minimum wage is pointless.
No, it's not pointless.
It's
It
absolutely
protects
pointless.
people from companies who are, once all the good jobs are filled, and then you've got Joe Blow's, Burger Shack is left, and they don't have any employees, or they need employees, but none of the other places do.
That's not
If
gonna
they're
happen.
the only company still hiring, they can pay whatever they want.
Yeah, but you're not gonna have that happen. You're not gonna have one company left. You see what I'm saying? You're not gonna have one
In a
one
greater
company
sense,
hiring.
you will. You're going to start having companies that are filled. I mean, Burger King's going to reach its maximum employees eventually if they're paying a great wage. They're not
Then
going to be
they'll
able to
open another
hire the
Burger
amount
King.
of people that are out there needing jobs.
And they're gonna open another Burger King because they have the money to do that.
They're not going to, no.
Yes.
No, they're not going to expand when they're paying out more money in wages.
It wouldn't be that much more, and it's going to be,
So
especially if we went to 50.
More,
So
how much competition
So
is it?
if we went to $15 an hour, they're going to start closing Burger Kings instead of opening more or maintaining, because
no, Burger
they're paying
King's
even
not going
more.
to go anywhere. They'll just automate their way through it.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
That's what all the fast food places are going to do.
Yeah, eventually, that's true. Yeah, your cigarette went out.
And I think that's, so for instance, look at grocery stores here in Florida. You've got, I'm going to throw some names out there. You got Publix.
Yeah.
You got, I think there might still be Albertsons, but you've
I don't
also
think
got,
so.
you've got Aldi.
Yeah.
And then you've got Walmart. We can consider them a grocery store since most of the supercenters have them. But out of all those three, the smaller company pays the greater wages. They'll start cashiers off at $14 an hour here at Aldi.
Yeah. They also give them
$14 an hour.
chairs to sit in for the
Sure.
cashiers. That's crazy. I've never seen that
Sure.
before.
But that's almost double the minimum wage. So companies compete based off a minimum wage. That set standard is there to be a base starting point for others to launch from. Now you compete for paying more than some base minimum.
Yeah.
If there's no base minimum, they can all compete to pay the closest to $5 or $6 an hour.
Yeah.
Nobody has to hit 15 that you can live on. If we don't have it, then all of the companies can go below that and still say they're being competitive with wages,
Sure.
even though they're not paying enough for people to live on. But if we have that base there, which still people can't live on,
Well, they can't
it's
live
the
in their
only
own.
protection they have.
They can't always live on their own, like in a 2-bedroom apartment or whatever.
I don't think there's
mean-
a state in this country, even with some of the states that have an increased minimum wage of their own, that you can live as a single person in a
Well,
one-bedroom apartment.
The reason
and
they
live.
have a higher minimum wage is because the standard of living is higher. The cost
Sure.
of living is much higher.
Of
like so,
course.
like in Seattle, the minimum wage is $15 an hour, but the minimum for like a studio apartment is still like $1,200
Right,
a
and
month.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, so that's why they have a higher minimum wage, is because they have a higher cost of living,
Sure.
or higher cost of living.
Right.
But then it's just this vicious cycle because the cost of living goes up,
Of course.
the minimum wage goes up, cost of goods go up, cost of living goes up, and then you got to raise the minimum wage again.
Right, but they don't.
They have.
That's the problem.
But they did.
They never. There's very few states in this country that raise the minimum wage in a timely fashion.
That's by design, though. That you
And
can't
it
just implement
always
things quickly.
stays behind the curve.
Yeah.
And that's my point. There's nowhere in the United States that you can go as a single person with a full-time minimum wage job, 40 hours a week, have yourself an apartment, a car, and the standard of living
Yeah.
to pay your bills, have food in the fridge, and live. You can't do it in this country. The greatest country in America.
Greatest
And
country in America.
I mean, excuse me. Whew. I got to cut back on the beer. The greatest
Yeah, good
country in the
one.
world, as you'll hear people say, and we are so behind the times when it comes to income.
Yeah, maybe we should stop taxing it.
Maybe
Maybe we
We
should stop
should
taxing the
understand-
income.
And
That might
you
help.
don't think capitalism is to blame at all?
No, I think that government intervening in capitalism is what has to do with it.
I know you think competition is going to drive prices down, but every time you step into a store, you're dealing with mass amounts of competition.
You're dealing with competition, but it's all very, I don't know how to say it exactly, but I mean, the market is so regulated that you can only be competitive in like certain areas and only to a certain extent. You're stopped from competing as much as you could because you have to, abide by these certain regulations.
What, like make healthy food?
What do you mean make healthy
Well, I
food?
mean, what regulations are stopping companies from dropping their prices? Food prices, beverage prices, gas
Yeah,
prices.
so things like tariffs, for one, will, drive
Okay.
prices up. Things like, taxes. Your taxes will drive the prices up. All these taxes that the businesses have to pay.
You know what I've watched capitalism do over 50 years?
Yeah.
Every time something happens out there, outside of our country, within our country, both. For instance, 8 years ago when gas prices were jacking through the roof,
Yeah.
right? We were watching them spike.
Yeah.
Oil prices, war in the Gulf, oil prices going up, gas is going up. We were paying like $4, $5, $6 a gallon.
Yeah, I remember that actually when I got my first car
What happened?
in 2008. It was a nice little car, the Lexus GS 300. But it took premium gas only at a time where regular was $4. So I was paying like $4.60 a gallon at the age of 18. It's pretty shitty.
You paid into that shit with the premium gas.
Yeah.
You millennials.
Yeah, I know. It's a nice little car though. I liked
what
it.
happened? What happened when the oil prices were up? What happened to your food prices?
I don't know. I was
They
18.
went up.
I'm sure.
That jack in oil prices got passed on to us, the consumers, because it's costing more to get goods shipped around the country, right?
Yeah.
Then oil prices went down.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what didn't go down?
Prices dropped a bit, especially
No.
gas dropped a
No.
lot.
Prices came down in a few places, in different things. Basically, it was opportunities for businesses like, take Walmart, to roll back some prices, right? But overall, the cost of living hasn't really come down from then. The cost of goods is still up there. I see permanent changes in goods. For instance, ice cream. Go buy a half gallon of ice cream now. You can't. Most of them are now at 1.5 quarts
Yeah.
as opposed to 2, and they cost the same amount of money, and it was the oil jack that prompted them. Orange juice containers. They cut back the amount of orange juice in the containers by a few ounces to offset the cost that it was,
Right.
for them to get goods around. Yet the price didn't go down. And now the smaller containers and packaging still remains, and the prices still remain.
Hmm.
That's a problem.
Sure.
That's where capitalism fucks the consumer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about the, about the deals, like the things that you're talking about. I mean, obviously, I agree
Oh.
that, the prices of gas going up obviously increases the prices of the product because they need to pay,
Sure.
for the gas and the trucks and, the drivers and all that crap. But, yeah, I don't know. I would have to look into that more and see,
The difference
what
was
the
I was
actual
buying
cause
groceries.
is.
I was buying groceries for a family at the time.
Yeah.
So I was of course you watch the prices and where things are going. And sure enough, it was a tough one to swallow. I'm still not happy about it because we still get to watch the price of goods going up, but fewer and fewer people get raises anymore.
I don't know.
On a regular
I've not had a
basis.
problem getting raises, but I mean, I also work for a pretty small company, But at least once a year, I'll get $1 raise. At least once a year,
Sure.
if not, more.
But most companies get away with
Yeah.
that. Fucking company. I mean, there's so many.
We've also got
companies
like
out-
20 people working
there's a-
for us, so
There's a
it's a
lot of
little
companies
easier.
out there that are still giving raises. Don't get me wrong, but what are you going to do with that extra 10 cents an hour?
No, I'm talking about $1 an hour.
Oh, no. I'm talking about how most companies are.
Oh.
I mean, some of the bigger retailers and stuff,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. What's 10 cents an hour doing for somebody? I mean, when you break you extend that out over the course of a year, maybe a car payment,
Maybe.
at best.
Yeah.
And that's the world we live in now.
But that's why I wouldn't work for a retailer. So, I mean, that's just me. I mean, I know somebody's got to. Somebody's got to work there, but not going to be me. I'm not going to settle for that shit.
Well, it's it's not like there's if you're not getting a corporate job, you're just taking your chances on what somebody's going to pay you and whether or not you'll be able to live on it.
Yeah. I mean, I make pretty decent money working in a warehouse, but I mean, again, we have like 22 people working for us total. I mean, that's including like the president of the company and like his daughter, and
But this isn't the only warehouse you guys have got in the country either.
Well, no, but
You're a larger company nationwide.
Nationwide, yeah, but I work for a distributor, so it's like it's his own company that distributes that product for the corporate office.
Well, speaking of distributors, since we're talking about Amazon, that is something that you can look into now, as being a delivery distributor for Amazon.
Yeah, I'd rather do
They'll
this.
hook you up with trucks and everything. You just have the place and get some drivers and have them deliver for Amazon.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, they're gonna start parsing that out to folks.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
In their global domination tour. But what do you folks think? Do you think the minimum wage needs to go up? Does it need to go away, like John says? Do you think that's the kind of competition that might actually work? I think it smells a lot like Reaganomics. We're hoping it'll trickle down.
That's not trickle down economics, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's
competitive economics.
Somebody will compete at the top, and everybody else below them will be we got to get on board.
It's laissez-faire capitalism. It's not trickle down economics.
I only support 20 employees in my company, but I'll get on board and I'll add $15 minimum wage, just like the big boys do, to compete.
It's not $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
They usually start at about $10, and then you work your way up. After being there.
The sad part is when it does hit $15 an hour, we're gonna need 20.
Yeah.
Hey, but men and women alike, they got to get their money. But speaking of women, John.
Oh my God! What an awful segue. You should be ashamed.
I'm sorry.
You should be ashamed.
I didn't bring my Segway with me.
And you should also grab me a beer while you're over there.
I'm not big on beer, John.
I didn't say it for you.
I'm not a fan.
No, you're not. You're a Robert. See, I can tell shitty jokes too.
Demanding beers.
Thank you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
Speaking of gentlemen.
And scholars.
Are you a feminist, John?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. All right. I'm scared of this. All right, so we're going to take this test here. I've got 2 tabs here.
The very credible source, BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed, the #1 source for quizzes that make you go, what the fuck?
Yep.
So, John, you're going to be the tab on the left. I'm the tab on the right. Let's just see how feminized we are.
That's right.
Now,
see how much we respect women.
Just in case we have some discussions about this that might offend anybody, please, let's go ahead
Please
with
go
a little bit of a disclaimer.
fuck yourself. No disclaimer.
Nice
Your disclaimer is if you don't like it, go away.
The opinions.
Opinions of John are not necessarily
John's
the opinions of the generational guest.
Do not reflect on anyone else that might be on this show. Okay? All right, so let's talk about feminism a little bit, John. We understand what feminism is, right?
Naturally. It's cancer.
Are we talking about...
Yes.
1, 2, or 3?
Yep.
You just agree with everything feminism, don't you?
I do. I love feminism.
All right, let's look for some real answers on this, John. Let's see if you can throw some real answers out. All
All
right,
right.
John, here's the first question.
Yep.
Here's the first thing to vote on. Is it true or false that women get paid less than men?
On average, yes. They do.
Okay, can we approach this without feminism speak?
What? I'm just saying on average they do. It's
On
true.
average, they do.
Yeah. So,
So
that
you're
is technically
telling-
true, but it's very misleading.
Wait. Women get paid less than men.
On average, yes.
The inherent nature of that statement proves it false. Because there is no standard in this country that says women get paid less than men.
Right.
There is some very strong evidence that the jobs that are being done on average by women versus men,
Mm-hmm.
those fields are not, they don't correlate when
Right.
it comes to pay.
Right. And also, women don't typically work as many overtime hours as men do. So that's another factor that goes into it. So it's not because of sexism. It's because women just aren't working as much.
It's not that
Or
they're
as
not
long.
working as much. It's just they're not in the same fucking jobs.
Well, that too, yeah. I mean, obviously.
a nurse and a garbage collector aren't going to make the same money.
They might make pretty comparable money.
Some garbage
They make some
collectors
money.
Up in New York, I read an article a while back. Guys were
Yeah.
talking about they were making six figures.
Yeah, they make some
For
money
picking
sometimes.
up trash, John.
Yeah. They're also heavily unionized.
Whatever.
I'm just saying.
Six figures
Yeah.
picking up trash.
But in New York, that's like a studio bedroom, a studio apartment. That's not going to get you much in New York.
I wouldn't fucking live. I'd be across the river in fucking Jersey.
Oh, shit. You're going to get shot out there, man.
No, there's some safe places
Yeah.
to live. You know, there's like, I think there's at least 2 white privileged neighborhoods there.
I wouldn't know.
You don't know all the white privilege road marks?
Nope.
Landmarks? And
I didn't get my white privilege, field guide this month.
you're not keeping up.
Nope.
White Privilege Weekly? You don't get it?
No, I didn't pay my subscription because my white privilege check didn't come in, so I have to wait for that to come through the mail and, wait for it to clear.
You spin it on a high quality vehicle.
Yeah, very high quality.
See?
In fact, as an added feature, it has no AC, much like our
Right.
studio.
That's a choice that you got to make because of your white privilege.
Yeah.
You chose not to have AC.
That's right, it's a feature, like I said.
Women get paid less than men. I call this false. It's not true. Women don't get paid less than men. Now, if that question said women get paid less than men for the same job, yeah, I could kind of lean towards that. But now I know
But
a lot
they
of that
don't.
goes into what women are willing to do to get the job for the
Yeah.
same money. Are they in there negotiating like men are taught
Right.
to do?
Right.
Are women being taught the same way to get a job as men are?
I'm sure.
I mean, is that where our underlying issue is?
I mean, my dad taught both me and my sister how to negotiate. In fact, my dad's very good at negotiating. He does that for a living. So, I mean, there's at least one woman out there who, knows how to negotiate. Whether or not she does, I don't know. But, I mean, it's not like they can't. They just typically don't. They're more agreeable, usually. Just as a biological trait.
So you're telling me there might be some biological differences between men and women,
I know, how dare I?
and this could affect the jobs that they take on?
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't work for Google like poor James Damore.
Okay, next question, John. We need more women in office, and no, this is not talking about the series, the television show.
Oh,
the sitcom.
that was a good show though.
We're
I don't care what
talking
anybody
politics.
says.
Do we
That was a
need
good
more
show.
women in politics?
Do we need more women in politics? I don't.
Yes.
I
Do
mean, I don't think we need more women in politics. But if women want to be in politics, they should have every opportunity. Like anyone else. They should have the opportunity to run like anyone else.
So do we need more women in politics? True or false?
Do we need? I don't like that. Need more women.
We need more women in office. True or false? You don't have an option. We're not
I
taking this
know.
out of
God
context.
damn it! Fucking BuzzFeed. I fucking hate BuzzFeed. Let's go with false. Because we don't need more women, but if they
I'm
would
going to
like
tell
to
you why I
run,
think we do.
you're gonna say yes.
You know why I think we need
You're
more
gonna be a
women in
contrarian.
office?
Because you're a contrarian.
No.
Oh,
Well, in a sense, maybe.
yeah.
When it's all said and done, it speaks to balance. And from the standpoint of not that I think that Washington needs balance between the genders, but if more women pursued the opportunities that were available for them to where they could go into, they would achieve office, then I do believe that there would be a stronger sense of equal voice, right? It would answer this call to, a equal voice in Washington.
The problem with that, though, is it's never going to be enough. It's never I've explained this before. I think on the show about how this ideology of victimhood works, where there's always another boogeyman. There's always another problem. So even if you solve all the problems, there's just going to be another one because it requires that to survive. Otherwise, the ideology of victimhood just goes away.
Sure, but there's also the other mentality, and even if you don't want to take the feminist tact or the activist tact or the feminactivist, the feminazi path, any of that, the bottom line is there's a good old boys club in Washington. We know this, right? It's all, there's so much of this old school
White
mentality. We can call it old white mentality, however you want to break it down, but we've known for a long time that business as usual surrounded the good old boys club in Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't deny that there's been a patriarchal setup in Washington. It was kind of inherent from the beginning when we started all of this, right? Women didn't have.
Well, yeah, they weren't allowed to be in political
now.
office. I'm pretty sure.
Sure, they
at
didn't
the beginning,
have
yeah, they weren't allowed to.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So it was structured in a very patriarchal way.
Sure, used to be.
Well, I take that back. I don't think it was so much structured in a patriarchal way. It was just structured during a patriarchal time.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, I get that we need to evolve past that. But, do we need more women in office? Yeah, I think that a feminine balance to the male, this is a yin-yang thing. Now, does it need to be one woman for every man? No, but we need the voices there. Just like we need more African Americans in office, more Latinos, any of the groups that you want to pander to. We need the diversity in office. So yeah, I think we need more. I think we need to get away from these long terms.
The reason that I would say false in that is largely because God, how was I just had it in my head how I was going to say it. Shit. Oh, I don't want them in there just because they're women.
Right.
Or just because they're African American or just because they're Latino.
Right.
But that's the thing, is that's how that happens. That's the point of equality of outcome.
Sure.
Is that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you stand for. What matters is that you check the right boxes, and that's a problem.
And
I don't
want to get
that.
away from that.
Yeah.
I agree, but I will say that I think that a wider diversity of voices in Washington will more truly speak to the diversity in this country and push us towards healing in the divisions.
I don't think it'll work.
People sit around and feel unrepresented in Washington.
See, I've seen this happen in private industries, especially big tech companies, who will have a diversity chief, whose job it is to make sure that they get enough people who. But the thing is, there's always still problems. It's
Exactly.
always still, we need more of this. We need more
Right.
of this. We
And-
need more.
and-
So
and
it's
I-
not going to stop.
I don't want
Even when
that.
there is like equality, even if there is like 25% Latino, 25% black, 25%
I
whatever,
don't want
women,
numbers.
whatever.
And it goes back to what I said in the beginning. The
Yeah.
bottom line is more people out there. If you qualify as diverse, if you think that there needs
To
to be
qualify
more
as diverse.
if you think there needs to be more African Americans in office, and you're African American, then do something about it. Get into office. No, we don't need specific numbers and quotas. What we need is people to get up, say the right things, and get yourself in office so that we get the diversity
Yeah.
that we need in Washington. No quotas.
No,
Just ambition.
that's illegal in
Get
this
the
country.
fuck up and
Quotas.
run. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Get your ass together and make your politics known to the world and get out there and take office.
Yeah, see,
The opportunity is there.
if you have ideas that I agree with and that I want to push in Washington, then I will vote for you. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't
Right.
matter any of that. As long as you appeal to my sensibilities, then I will vote for you.
Sure.
That's what matters.
I think the only thing that we fall into is we're victims of, again, instant gratification. If we see that there's a mix of people in Washington one day, people are going to be appeased and they're going to
No.
be more likely to listen
No.
if they feel that they have people in Washington that actually represent who they are.
Yeah, see, that's
Not
the thing.
just
It's not.
some guy representing the state.
It's not just about someone being represented. It's about having the right politics as well.
Well, I get that,
You
but
know.
you understand that there's a large portion of this country that doesn't that doesn't understand the politics that they're hearing. They're going at everything on face value.
On
what
emotion.
you look like. And sure, what you say in blurbs and
Yeah.
headlines. Not what your deep ideology is. They don't care about that. They want the surface stuff. And if you want them to be quiet, then they need to see that they're represented. They just need
I
the
don't think that's
visual.
gonna work. I just
And I'm
really
not
don't
saying
think it
you
is.
force it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
those people need to push people from their communities into office. Go, run for office, represent us.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely. Give it a
something.
shot.
I don't care what your ideology is because I only like
I
you
do.
for face value, but go run for office.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll determine as voters who give a shit whether or not that person goes into office.
Yeah.
And that's how it'll fall out. Take the opportunity. It's not like it's not there. But I do think that we need diversity because these term limits that people have in Washington, that's what fucks us. That's what keeps us from a lot of diversity in
term
Washington.
limits are a great thing. We should definitely have more term limits. I've only had a beer and a half. God damn.
You know where I think term limits would be really cool? The fucking
Supreme
Supreme Court.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Like, while I would agree with that on the surface, I understand why they have tenure in the Supreme Court. It's an attempt to avoid, the politicizing. Because you're not up for re-election, right? So you don't have to worry about pandering to one side or another. You're in for life. So I understand why, but obviously it's become politicized in however many years it's been. So I don't think that was avoided, but I understand why that was implemented in the first place.
I just don't think they should be able to go back and reverse cases on a fucking whim.
Oh, it's not a whim though. But anyway, let's move on
Yeah.
because it's not on a whim. It's not like one person can just determine. Okay, let's just change
they
this
can make
now.
shit happen though, can't they?
Well, yeah, that's their job.
They shouldn't be able to reverse decisions.
I don't think that's a smart thing. I think they should be able to reverse decisions.
No, handle every case as it comes. If somebody wants to bring something to the fucking Supreme Court about abortion again, bring it. But don't reverse Roe versus Wade. Deal with it in the new case.
Their job is to set precedent, and their job is to
Reset
determine.
precedents.
And their job is to determine constitutionality,
Sure.
and that changes.
So, no.
Yes.
The constitutionality doesn't change
No, it doesn't change. But
unless the justices change.
yeah.
It's dependent upon who you have the most on the bench of. More Democrats or more Republicans on the bench, that's what makes things change in constitutionality, how someone interprets it. It was already interpreted. It was already decided. Be done with it. You coming in with a new opinion?
All right, so then let's keep all guns legal then, 'cause that's how it was when it first started, right? We can't change it.
Was that a Supreme Court ruling?
It was a Bill of Rights ruling.
Supreme Court ruling?
There were Supreme Court rulings on certain things with guns, yeah.
Do I think the Supreme Court should reverse any rulings that they might have made on banning automatic weapons? No.
Right, of course.
But if they were legal, if they ruled they were legal, I also wouldn't want that reversed.
Yes, you would.
No.
Yeah, you would.
I'm not going to call for a reversal of something that was put into play. I've never been a fan of that. And I've told you this time and time again.
I don't think you have.
I think that's what breaks our fucking justice system.
Yeah.
It truly does. All right, so next one, John. Third wave feminism hasn't accomplished anything.
I gotta say false. It absolutely has, unfortunately.
Hasn't
Accomplished a lot.
accomplished what they intended for it to. Because I'm going to go with false on that too. Very specific, for a very specific reason. Because I think they have accomplished something. What do you think they've accomplished?
They've accomplished pushing their ideology, pushing intersectionality into the mainstream.
So they've accomplished chaos. They've accomplished making fools of themselves.
They've accomplished forced diversity.
They've accomplished warping what feminism truly is. So they have accomplished something.
Yep.
Just not what they wanted.
Right. Well, that is kind of what they wanted. Maybe not the average person, because the average person who follows it doesn't understand it. They don't understand what it's really about. And it's actually about complete control over all of society.
I don't think they've accomplished their goals because what they don't
Well, they
have
can't.
is a fucking solution.
They can't achieve all their goals.
Sure, of course not.
No, yeah, because then as soon as they do, then you don't need feminism anymore.
I mean, the bottom
It
line
won't survive.
is, you know, the one thing that they want out of it all has yet to happen.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that says all men and women are created equal.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying, this is the kind of thing they want. That
No, it's
literal
not.
Specificity.
It's not what they want.
They need literal specificity. They want everything that men have to be given to them.
Yes, they want it to be given to them
And taken
instead of
away
earning
from
it.
men.
Right. Right, exactly. They want superiority, not
Right,
equality.
but they want words that specifically lay out that that's okay to do.
Well, yeah, obviously they want to make that
Right.
law. Yeah.
And they want to make sure that anything in our governmental documents is reworded so it doesn't just say men.
Yeah.
Because we made the mistake 250 years ago of writing men because it used to just be an overarching term.
Well, yeah, it was a
We
term
weren't
for
hung up on
mankind as opposed
right.
to like male.
We weren't hung up on pronouns back then.
Yeah.
And words and things
Right.
as much.
It's
But
true.
now we are.
Yeah.
Human rights. That's what we need. Not equal rights. We need equality. We need equal human rights.
Yeah.
Equal human rights. Period. Right?
Mhm. Sure.
Aliens like you and Hillary and Giuliani.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, you lizard people.
Yeah.
You don't deserve rights because you're not human.
I, for one, welcome our lizard overlords and offer my butthole to them.
John,
Yeah.
women can't be sexist.
False AF. That is false as fuck.
You're going to have to go with false on that? You think women can be sexist?
Oh yeah, all the
Why?
time.
You think it's sexist just because a woman says that she wishes that we just pile men in buses and drive
Yeah.
them off a cliff?
Hashtag kill all men.
Is that sexist?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I've always hated the word sexist
Yeah.
because it should be a genderist,
Jesus. Now who needs literal specificity?
right? Well, I mean, it makes it dirty when you equate our gender to sex.
Dirty.
I mean, that's sexist right there.
Dirty.
I mean, you can't even have sex with a sheep.
I mean, you
There's
can.
no sex. There's no sex for that.
I mean, you can have sex with a sheep. It's just illegal and immoral.
Why is gender and sex tied in like that?
I would
See,
have to.
there's old school thinking.
Yeah.
Because now your gender has nothing to do with the sex you're in.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a whole other fucking like conversation that can go on for hours.
Like sex dolls and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that a sex? Sexism is ingrained in our society, like wooden paneling.
Ingrained. God. Your jokes are just awful tonight.
Have you ever seen wood paneling?
Oh yeah.
It's some scary shit.
It's ingrained.
It's ingrained in every manufactured home.
Yep.
Is it, John? Is it ingrained?
So if we're going to use from the previous question where women can be sexist, then yes. But as like an overall rule of like we need to keep women down or whatever, no.
Were the 1950s sexist?
Probably, yeah, quite a bit.
When men were expected to go to work, the woman stayed home, cooked,
Yeah.
cleaned, raised the kids. Was that a sexist thing?
I mean, I suppose you could make the argument, yeah, I would say.
I mean, it was a patriarchal thing, I guess, to a sense. The structure was patriarchal.
In
right?
a way, yeah.
But, because that mentality still thrives with a lot of people, older generations. Still think that those were good old days because, you know, there was a balance there, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's ingrained
I'm gonna
still.
say
We still haven't shaken it.
I'm gonna say true, but with the caveat of, you know, because it applies to both sexes.
Yeah, it's a tough nut to crack. If you
Yeah.
ask me. Abortion should be made illegal.
That's always a tough one. I think we've talked about this before on the show, back when we were in audio only.
Why does this have anything to do with feminism?
Because my body. Yeah. My women's, you know, choice and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So with this one, it's always a tough one for me because, like, I wouldn't want to make it illegal, but then just, like, the people who, you know, are like celebrate your abortion and, you know, abortion on demand and all that kind of shit just really pushes me the other way. Because they're just, like, they're so celebratory about it. They're just so, like, in your face about it that I just want to reject it.
Like, get knocked up all you want, we'll take care of it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you want to have an abortion, just go have one. Like, it's, you know, like, it's no big deal. I mean, you should at the very least, like, not feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Would you agree that it needs to be regulated?
Probably.
Now, from a medical standpoint, it should be regulated, right? We should have expectations of when you can and can't do an abortion, right?
Sure.
But should the whole thing be made illegal?
No.
Or do you
I don't think the
prefer
whole
to
thing...
lean on states having their own choices?
That's what I would do. So I would say that it shouldn't be made illegal, but if certain states don't want to have it legal, then they should have the right to make it illegal.
And you just tell your citizenry, if you don't like this, move to another fucking state?
I mean, basically, yeah. Either move to another state or work to overturn that law, you know? I mean, that's the way that the discourse used to be done in this country, but not anymore.
It's a medical procedure.
Yeah.
And from a medical standpoint, like any other, it should be regulated on what is allowable, because there are factors involved there.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be made illegal, because I think it should just fall under the category of, you know, because if you make it illegal, then you get into that hairy middle ground. Oh, she was raped. Should she have to keep the baby?
Right, exactly. Which I don't think that you should.
All those gray areas, right?
And right, in the case of like rape or incest, no, you know, you should be able to you should be able to do it. You know.
So if you're going to fall into gray areas where
but then
it
at the
can
same
be
time,
allowable,
at the same time though, if you wait 8 months, you know, sorry, you made the decision this far along.
But that's
you know
medical
what I mean?
regulation.
So, yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, I would agree with like some, but not.
Because ultimately, it's all going to come back to a a religious argument. There's the root of it is always going to be in fundamental Christianity.
A lot of it is, but it really mostly
Not
comes
the
down
ones
to
who want it,
right. No,
the ones
no.
who fight against
right,
it.
Right, I know, but it mostly comes down to just an emotional appeal, and that's so even like people on the right wing who would say generally would say no, or say no abortion. It's not always from a religious perspective. It's a think of the children perspective. That's a life, that sort of thing. So a lot of the time, especially nowadays, religion isn't brought up within the argument. It's always that's a life and the sanctity of life and that kind of shit. So yeah, I mean, abortion is a very, very tough one for me. I've never really had like a solid stance on it just because it's so complicated.
Well, when it's all said and done, of course, the general opinion is that we shouldn't have an opinion on it. This new third wave feminism says that men don't need to be a part of the conversation.
Right.
However, you can't not have men. And this is the part that bothers me the most about it. Should abortion be made illegal? I don't think so. But I do believe that somehow accommodation needs to be made for the man in the picture. That is not just her child.
Right.
If we want to argue, if anybody wants to argue that, when does life start? When is it less than, more than a zygote and less than a born human?
Yeah.
Men get fucked in that deal.
They do, and not in a good way.
There's a lot of men that want children. There's a lot of men that run into situations where, now they have an opportunity, but they don't have an opinion because it's not their body.
Right.
They don't get to make that decision. But, fuck.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that men are a part of this conversation. And as long as you're going to tell men no, you shouldn't have a say in this.
Yeah.
Men shouldn't decide on the legality of abortion.
Yeah.
Well, you got a long way to fucking go.
Well, yeah.
Because
it's going to push them away from your side, for one.
The only way you're ever going to have that happen is to have fully female Washington. Right?
Yeah.
You can't get men out of this conversation.
Right.
They need to wake the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the opinion that it needs to be a medical procedure, that our government doesn't arbitrarily get to decide whether it's legal or illegal.
Yeah.
They should just drop the fucking thing and worry about regulating the medical procedure.
Right. So they should overturn Roe versus Wade and then let the states decide for themselves.
I don't even know that
it's
okay for states to decide on legality of it.
I think that's the most fair way of doing it because it's not just one size fits all solution, right? It's it's going to be okay on one side, it's going to be not okay on the other side, and the people in those states get to decide that.
I don't think it should be governed, only regulated.
I mean, what do you mean? Because that's kind of the same thing.
No, govern from the standpoint of determining whether it's legal or illegal to have an abortion versus regulating the medical procedure as to when it can and can't happen.
So then you're going to run into the issue of people who are anti-abortion are going to push for harder and harsher regulations, so to make it nearly impossible.
Sure.
Like you mentioned, I think last episode about there's only like 3 abortion clinics in the whole state of Texas.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
Off mic.
I'm pretty sure that was during.
We were on a store walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might be true. But okay, so either way, I just recap that conversation. You're saying that there's only 3, there, and so I mean, you're gonna run into that sort of thing. We can't have abortion clinics in these areas, right? In certain areas, right? We can only have them here, and they have to follow these strict guidelines. Like we have, I know there was a story about one where one of the, I think it was a Planned Parenthood, got shut down because they're like something like their ceilings weren't high enough. They came in and measured, and their ceilings weren't high enough, shut the place down, and it's a way of stopping abortions legally while the abortion is illegal in that state. So I think you're going to run into that a lot if you have it not governed but regulated, because you're going to have the harsher regulations in anti-abortion states.
Well, here's the argument I would make with that. If we say it's not governed, like you cannot determine the legality or illegality of an abortion,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a medical procedure, then it can be taken care of at any medical facility. We don't need abortion clinics.
Sure.
We go to a hospital, and insurance, because it's regulated by the government, then now insurance can handle that like any other medical procedure.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about Planned Parenthood for that, or abortion clinics.
But
we do it in hospitals.
That still doesn't answer the the argument of regulations being pushed to either heavily discourage and de-incentivize people to do it, or outright making it almost impossible due to conflicting regulations and
you mean
just
kind of like we do with opioids now?
Opioids are fucking easy to get. Are you kidding me?
No, you my wife, with the situation she's having, they'll give you a 7-day script now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You get a 7-day script for pain meds like that.
I was gonna bring it up because Florida has a huge opioid problem.
Sure,
like, it's really bad.
And this is how
here.
we're attacking it.
Right.
So they're heavily regulating how much can be put out there for any given patient, and they're trying to avoid any of the codone and codeine based.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
But there's still less. I guess there's less. There are less people who are anti-opioid. There's not as much pushback. Is what I was going to try and say. There's not as much pushback on opioid regulations, or there's not as much pushback on, how many can go out. Right. That's just an attempt to solve a problem.
Sure.
And of an abuse problem. Whereas with abortion, you're going to find people who are avidly against it are going to push for harsher and harsher regulations, making it almost impossible. I still don't think you've given.
How's that worked out for gun regulation?
What do you mean?
Same thing happens with guns.
But there's a difference, because there's no, because abortion is not a right. It's not in the Constitution that you can have this. It's not an amendment to the Constitution. It's not a part of the Bill of Rights.
You have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And part of your life is having medical procedures. I mean, it's just fucking medical.
But you don't have a right to medical procedures.
You have a right to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And
the
being
same
healthy is a happiness.
The same argument can be made the other way, that the fetus has the right to life as well. So
sure, and
so
we can make that argument in the beginning.
Right, the constitutionality is very difficult to determine because of that.
What constitutionality? You said it's not a right, so that it doesn't matter about the Constitution.
Right, what I'm saying is that your gun argument is not a good. It's not a good argument. As an example, right, but it's not a good example.
This is one where people fight regulation all the time, and it doesn't fucking matter.
But it's not. It's also not a good example, because they're not
exactly
comparable.
The same thing. Because when people argue regulation, you will argue it. Whenever the regulations go in place, you'll have your chance, lay it all out, and then the decisions will be made. And then you can go and push all you want. But we have a set of standards. That's the same thing that happens with guns. People are pushing all the time to have more regulation on guns, and it doesn't happen. If abortion is not a legality issue, then big abortion then becomes a business. And it gets to be the ones to fight any regulations.
So you want more lobbying then, because there's going to be an abortion lobby.
No, it's just what's going to happen.
There's going to be lobbying.
Anything that's not made legal or illegal is going to be a fucking company. Somebody's going to make a business out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And abortion will become a business called medical care, like it is now. It's just going to be another procedure. And yes, people can. I mean, look at it this way, John. I mean, people want to talk about talk about suicide, assisted suicide. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that's okay.
Yeah.
There are places where it's now becoming possible.
Yeah.
So these are just medical decisions. And yes, you can determine the ability for hospitals and medical care to take care of these things. But to say it's legal or illegal when you're basing it on fundamental values that are not the same across the board, I mean, it's foolish.
Let the states decide then. I mean,
But the
it all comes
states are
back to that.
religiously based too, John. That's the problem.
I already
because
mentioned.
none of them separate Christianity.
I already mentioned that's not even. That's almost
It
not
is
even.
absolutely the
not
biggest thing
anymore.
that keeps abortion on the books right now is fundamental Christianity, which
Not
is
as
what our
much.
country was formed on, based on.
It
We are a
wasn't.
country founded out
No.
of religious
No, we're not.
thought process. Bullshit.
No, it was. No, all the values. All the
God we
values.
trust. Do you trust God?
That wasn't put on our money until 1952, I
I'm
believe.
sorry, one nation under God.
That wasn't
At
put
our
in- that
Constitution,
wasn't put
look
in
at our
till later.
Declaration of Independence. We call on God as the governing body for this, for us, and it's not true. It is a fundamental
No.
value that is there, and when it's argued
No, the
in
values-
Washington, the Christian right comes out and starts carrying their banners,
Yeah, of course they do. But
and they carry a lot of weight.
and back to our country being based on Christian values. They were based on Enlightenment values.
Bullshit.
No, not bullshit. They're based on liberal
They were-
values.
No, our country was founded
No.
by a bunch of people who ran away from one religion to do their own religious thing.
No, they were already here for a long time before we
Who
formed our
was?
own country.
The first
The founding fathers.
settlers?
Yeah, no, the founding fathers were not the first settlers. They're not the same people.
No, they're not the same people, John, but that's what this country began from. Was people running away from religion to start
Right, but
their own
the founding
religion.
documents were based on liberal Enlightenment values.
Then why is God rampant through all of it?
It was rampant
This
later
belief
on.
in God,
It was
forcing
rampant later
us.
on to combat the rise of communism. That was why.
Which part? Where it says, in God,
In God we trust, yes.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under
These
which God?
things,
I mean, that's the
do
thing.
we
They
call
never.
on God in the Constitution? Do we call on God in the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah,
That's enough.
I don't know.
That is rooting
Because
our...
most of the founding fathers were deists. They weren't necessarily Christian. They didn't believe in
Are
the.
you a deist?
I'm not. No.
So those documents that set the foundation with a belief in God and His overarching love of us as Americans. God bless America.
Okay.
God bless America.
Okay,
He
where,
doesn't give
where
a
in
fuck
the
about us.
where in the Bible does it say you have free speech? Where in the Bible does it say that you have the right to bear arms? Where
John,
in the
I don't
Bible does it
believe in
say?
the Bible.
Where in the Bible does it say that you don't have to quarter soldiers during peacetime? Where in the Bible does it say
What's
that
that
you have a
got
right
to
to
do with it?
privacy? These are our rights. These are the values that our country was based on.
Yeah.
These
In
are the
a
rights that we
country
have.
that believes God is seeing over everything.
But it had nothing to do with Christianity. The values that were set has nothing to do with Christianity. These are Enlightenment values. These are individualistic values. Yes.
So you're telling me there was no religious persecution running rampant through this country at that time?
Persecution?
Tell me about religious persecution, John.
In 1776, 1775?
Religion was a big part of everything that went on back then.
It was, but there wasn't a lot of persecution based on your religion, unless maybe you were like Muslim or something. But I don't think there were a
Or
lot
a
of those
Salem
around.
witch, or
That was
Yeah.
that was way
But-
earlier.
but
That was
I mean, the whole
way
point
earlier.
is, it doesn't matter,
It does
John.
matter.
John, the point is the mindset that goes on. It's just like we talk about as sexism ingrained in our society. The reason it's ingrained is because of the years and years and years of a patriarchal society. These things don't go away overnight
What does that have to do with Christianity?
because Christianity is at the root of everything. When our government makes determinations on law based on religious opinion,
Mm-hmm.
The Christian right should have no say in anything to do with law.
Well, okay, but the individuals
the Christian left
the individuals
should have no input.
The Christian left.
Well,
There-
I'm assuming there's a Christian left. There's got to be Christian liberals as much as there are Christian conservatives.
Maybe I don't know. I've never heard of him. That's kind of like it's a pretty rare Pokemon right there. I don't know.
I mean, if you look at religions as a whole, I mean, there's a lot of Wiccans and things like this.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
right?
Yeah,
These are
but you're talking. Okay,
spiritual
yeah,
religions,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not, even if we look at it from the standpoint of Christianity, all religions aren't reflected.
No, they're not.
Because initially we say, one nation under God, not one nation under Allah, Buddha.
Anyway, let's.
Gilgamesh, who am I thinking of?
Gilgamesh?
Not Gilgamesh.
No, I was gonna say
What's
that's
that?
like one of the first fiction.
Isn't that an Indian? Who was the
Gilgamesh?
Indian?
No.
Okay, what was
Talking
it?
about,
It starts with a G. The one with the arms.
Yeah, I know it too. Yeah, I don't know. Can't think of it off the top of
I
my
guess
head.
my point is abortion always turns to a religious argument. It always comes down to,
Well, that's part of the
what would
emotional
God say?
appeal.
What would Jesus do?
That's part of the emotional appeal that I was talking about earlier. But let's answer this question and move on. 'Cause
You never gave me an
kind of
answer.
tired. Yeah, no, I said false. I don't think it should be
You were on
made.
the fence over and
Well,
over.
yeah, but I'm saying I say false. I don't think it should be made illegal.
Okay, so you're actually smarter than you look.
Yeah,
I think it should be made.
of course you do.
Only if it disagrees with you, John. Women are physically weaker than men on average.
Yeah, true. I don't think we have to. Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of disagreement there.
Well, let me ask you this.
Of course.
Is there a difference between that saying physically weaker and physiologically weaker?
Well, they're physically weaker.
No. Did you?
Yeah. What do you
Do
mean?
physical and physiological, are those two different things, or are those basically the same thing?
To be honest, I'm not sure. We'd have to be smarter than we are.
Probably look it up.
Yeah, we have to be smarter than we are currently.
No, from a biological standpoint, I think it just stands to reason. This is how it is with almost every species out there, right?
Well,
Almost.
there's usually, one sex is usually stronger than the other, whether that's female or male, depending on the
Whether
species.
it's through physically or whether it's through physical dominance.
Well, no, I mean, so like, spiders. Female spiders are usually much larger than their males. Things like that. So, I mean, it's just depends on the species. But with humans, the male is usually physically stronger.
But even with spiders, we know that, even with anything, size doesn't matter as far as physical
Bullshit.
weakness or strength, right?
I'm way scared of a big spider than I am a little one.
You figure a 400-pound man is stronger than a 200-pound man?
It depends. Is a 200-pound man, in shape?
Right. So
Or
you got to come
right.
down to all these things, right? So don't hold the spider in such high regard, John.
I don't. I fucking hate spiders. I will kill every spider.
Emma Watson makes good points.
Never.
It's Leviosa.
Leviosa.
Why are we talking about Emma Watson? All of a sudden,
Because she.
is she getting feminist on us?
Yeah,
Real
she
big
went.
time?
She went in front of the UN and made like a very heartwarming speech about feminism and how
Why
great
the
it is.
UN? Who the fuck cares in the UN?
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking to the rest of the world that thinks your feminist movement is stupid.
Well, a lot of the
They've got their
European,
shit figured out.
a lot of the European countries are very feminine, feminist, not feminine. I guess feminine.
Yeah, they're really moving it. Now it's not a crime to be a lesbian in India. Woo, we're making advances.
That's not in Europe.
India's close enough.
No, it's not close enough.
They have more in common with Europe than they do with the Asian countries they're surrounded by.
Well, yeah, because they were conquered by the British.
Thank you. So I consider them a European country.
They're not a
because
European
that's
country.
How they identify.
They're not
They don't
they don't
identify as
identify.
They don't identify as Asian.
Are they transnational? No.
Yes.
All right.
They identify as European, in my opinion.
Of course.
I hope to God I don't have a Bollywood assassin show up and try and kill me for saying that. Bollywood kicks out some good assassins, I hear.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Do you even know what Bollywood is?
Yeah, it's like they're Hollywood, but it's like the Indian Hollywood. They make really shitty movies, but they're really fun to watch
They're
when
really
you
good
know.
Indian movies.
when you're under the influence, they make really good movies that are funny to watch.
Everybody knows what you're saying when you do it like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You could have just been talking about beer.
Could have been.
So does Emma Watson make good points?
No.
Have you heard any of her points? I think she makes two perfectly good points.
Of course.
If she's not wearing a bra.
I was going to say there's just one on top of her head.
Negative stereotypes of women are too prevalent in our society. Are they too prevalent, John?
No, I think they're at the right prevalence.
So negative stereotypes. So when was the last time you heard a complaint about a woman driver?
Fairly often. I've made them myself. Jokingly.
Don't men just screw up in cars as much as women?
Not,
do they?
Not statistically, no.
Do you think the makeup makes a difference?
Statistically, women do get in accidents more often than men. That's a fact. Sorry. I mean, probably has to do with the fact that they can't concentrate as much.
Should they be barefoot and pregnant?
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen?
Barefoot and pregnant, yeah.
That's a stereotype.
Yeah.
How prevalent is that still?
It's not.
Isn't it more just kind of where you're at? Regional?
Maybe.
I mean, if you were down in the sticks of Alabama or Mississippi, you'd probably run into Arkansas,
I don't know.
Midwest type countries.
I'm originally from South Carolina, and women work there, just like they do in a lot of other places. So they're not barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen as often.
Women don't work.
Right. Well, but the point of saying barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen refers to being a homemaker, right? It's a degrading way of, saying you're a homemaker, you're a, housewife or whatever.
Speaking more to stereotypes, not actuality.
Yeah. So
is the stereotype still prevalent in South Carolina?
I think the value is still there. That women are responsible for more of the, taking care of children and things like that than men.
Home.
Yeah. But they still work.
A role. So you don't think they're too prevalent?
No.
I would have to agree, except, well, that means I gotta agree with you.
Yeah, fuck.
I get tired of agreeing.
Sucks when I'm right?
The Women's March was unnecessary. Which march?
I think the one after Trump was elected, I think is what they're referring to.
Is that the one where all the handmaids
the pussy hats? Where they had the pussy hats? Remember those? Yeah. So, unnecessary, yes. Hilarious, also yes.
So it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Was it unnecessary because it didn't accomplish anything? Or did it accomplish anything that it was trying to do?
No, it didn't accomplish anything other than hilarity. Made some pretty good memes. You're not a feminist. Damn. You're not a feminist either.
John, we're not feminists.
Fuck.
Whew. I can sleep better at night.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't have to go see a doctor or anything.
Right. Yeah, you don't have any kind of diseases. You don't have cancer. That's for sure.
Now I can just go back to worrying about my prostate being enlarged.
Yeah. God.
I don't have to get rid of some icky old feminism.
Right. Get your cootie shots.
I love women. I like working with women. I like seeing women. I like talking to women. I like being on an equal level with women.
I like some women.
I like it just as much as I like men. Love men. Talking to men, working with men, talking to men that are on an equal level. If you're a fucking idiot, I don't care what your gender is.
Yeah. You're a fucking idiot.
And if you're too stupid in this country, whether you're a man, woman, black, brown, whatever, purple, blue.
Well, if you're purple or blue, you're probably dead. Or gonna be soon.
Thank you, John. That insight was amazing.
It was.
I don't care who you are. If you don't step up to the fucking plate and take advantages of the opportunities that are available to every citizen out there, unless it's been stripped away for whatever reason, felonies, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Then it's on you.
You.
That's you. You didn't do that. You failed yourself. It wasn't the system that failed you. College is out there. Go. Get the grades. Get the scholarships. Go work and put yourself through college. All of these things have been done by others just like you before.
Don't get a gender studies degree. It's not going to help you.
Right.
You're going to be in debt forever and not be able to get a job.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get a job to bitch about men.
Unless you, want to teach gender studies. About the only job it's going to prepare you for.
I think that's where we fail as Americans. It's this new victim mentality that's running rampant. Oh,
really is.
Somebody kept me from my opportunities.
Yep.
How did they keep you from it? Did they keep you from it because you see numbers and statistics that say you're going to be kept down if you try, and then you don't try, and that's somebody else's fault?
Yep.
Shut up.
Exactly.
You don't deserve it if you're not willing to go take it.
Yeah.
I'm not rich, and it's my own fucking fault.
Yep, exactly.
I could have done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You could have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are there opportunities out there that you don't take, or that you've passed by,
Plenty.
or let slip through your fingers?
Yep. And there's other times where I've tried and, failed, but that's on me that I failed and not somebody else.
Does it matter if you're white? Does it matter if you're male?
Didn't seem to.
Does it matter who you are if the opportunities are there?
Yep.
Because we do have a country where equality of opportunity is rampant.
Yeah, that's a core value.
Right? And a litigation
also
system.
not found in the Bible. Just saying.
And a litigation system set to make sure that you can pursue that opportunity if someone does specifically hold you back.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is their argument about?
It just gives me that. That's what it is. Just gives me that. Gives me that. Just give me. Look, I'm a victim. Give me things.
It's boring sometimes.
Let me open a GoFundMe. Give me stuff. Someone says something mean to me on Twitter. Give me money. That's exactly what happens. Look at Anita Sarkeesian, who we looked at last episode. It's exactly what she did. That's how she makes her money.
GoFundMe?
Being a victim, yeah. Yep. That's a whole other thing we can get into, though.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm surprised. I would think that in this day and age, that really the biggest movement would be the moneyists.
The money is, yeah.
I mean, why aren't there more people sitting and hollering for equal outcome financially?
Oh, there are.
Why does the 1% get to have all the money?
No, there's plenty of people who are doing that. Socialism is huge right now.
Yeah, you call that socialism, but that'll never work. You can't
Of course not.
work. Socialism and capitalism can't thrive hand in hand.
No.
I mean, you can have socialist policies.
Which we do.
You need capitalism to fund it.
Right, exactly.
It's sad to say.
Yep.
You want UBI, you need capitalism to fund it.
Yeah.
Everything that you want to do from a socialist aspect will always require capital.
Yeah.
And that's only going to come from capitalism.
Right. Yep.
But that's just my 6.5 cents.
It's a lot of sense.
Yeah. But it's not common.
No, certainly not.
No.
Certainly not common.
Hey, what do you think, folks? Do you think we're wrong? Should we be feminists? Should we change our viewpoint? Should we change how we look at these things? Should we get deep into the fight and get nothing accomplished? Or should we sit on the outside and laugh and mock at all of those who raise the arguments and play the victim cards and want to martyr themselves to be something more individualized, to have that entitlement that they feel they deserve out of the 7.5 billion people in this world? Because we're all special now.
We're all snowflakes.
We are all snowflakes.
Each and every one of us. Remember,
Right.
you're special, just like the other 7 billion people on the planet. Always remember that.
But you've got to ask these people, one question
Mm-hmm.
that they'll never be able to answer. You can raise all this hell, do all this bullshit, but 2,000 years from now, are they going to write a book about you?
Yeah.
Are they going to remember who the fuck you were?
Good luck.
No.
No.
7.5 billion people kind of washes that away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not snowflakes. You're fucking sludge. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're all just a snowdrift.
That's
One
right.
big snowdrift going to get plowed off the side of the road.
Yep.
Hey, if you like what we're saying, hit the like button. If you don't like what we're saying, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel.
Please.
Talk to people about us. Get in the conversation with us. Get in there on the comments. Tell us what you think. It is important what you think, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, because we can't have a discussion without talk, right? And the only way to get to a solution is to start the conversation, but we've got to finish the conversation too, because I think that's the problem out there, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
Too much talk, not enough solution.
Right. It's all. Yeah. We might agree that things are problems, but we'll disagree on solutions.
Exactly. So reach out to us, get back to us, give us comments, like us out there, subscribe, reach out on Twitter, reach out to your congressman, tell them that something's going on. We need to talk about these things. Get involved. There's a vote coming up, folks. There are midterm elections about to happen, and only you can make a difference. Every vote does count, and everybody should stand up and vote, because it is your civic responsibility to support this country through your vote. The only way change is going to happen is to make sure that we're out there making change happen and acting like this is still a country that is run by the people.
At least pretending to. Yeah.
That's all that matters, as long as you put on a good show.
Yeah.
The vote's the best way to do it. So you guys get out there and vote. We're going to talk to you soon. We want to carry on this conversation, and we want to make sure you're involved. So make sure and share with everybody and reach back out to us and touch base with us. We should be back next week.
Hopefully.
We may just be talking more shit like we are now, but at least we've got something to say.
Yep.
John, I appreciate you disagreeing with me tonight, even
Oh,
though
no
you're
problem.
an asshole and I don't buy anything you say because you're full of shit.
Damn.
I mean that in the best way.
Of course. Yeah. The
There's
best way
deep and
possible.
abiding love there.
Right. Naturally.
Right down there at the
Right.
bottom of my ice cold heart. Folks, this has been the Generational Gap. Thanks a lot. Have yourself a good night. We'll be talking later.
Yep. See you guys.